Hi, Antoinette. Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
Louise.
I've been thinking about a subject. So for a minute, I forgot I was supposed to introduce myself and you. Sorry. But let's
We
just
forget.
jump straight into our subject, hey? Because how is this? Please talk to me. Yeah, I'm just sure there are just so many people who are completely and utterly relating to that one. Please talk to me. And I think in the other corner there's somebody who's like, let me go find a dark corner. Please just don't talk to me. Let's just pretend like nothing is wrong and nothing needs to be talked about and everything is just hunky-dory.
And when you put those two people together in a relationship, oh,
Yeah. Yeah. And how often does that happen? I mean, that was my experience too, you know. I was wanting to fix everything and please talk to me. Please just talk to me. Who are you even? And even more important, as important, do you know who I am even? Because if you don't talk to people, how do you know who they are?
yeah, you've been doing these short clips about overreactiveness, and today you put out this thing on underreactiveness. So I was very overreactive. I think you know this because I came to you for help, and my partner was extremely underreactive. So it's a really Yeah, it's a combination, hey, because the more he was underreacting, the more I overreacted, actually. And I think it was a coping mechanism on my part in a way. I think that's what you pointed out because I wasn't being heard. And yeah, so it's so interesting. How do we resolve these things if one person does not want to talk or is unable to express their needs? I can very easily express my needs. I'm like, too much, actually. I'm very vocal about who I am and what I need, and I really need to communicate. It's my language of love, actually. But some people can't actually. They've been socialized or conditioned or traumatized, I don't know, and they can't actually express their needs, or maybe they don't even know their needs. And open, honest communication is terrifying, and they're conflict avoidant. And I'm the opposite now. I don't even mind some conflict as long as we're engaging and we can resolve something.
We should actually talk about conflict avoidance because, you know, it, because we call it conflict, we want to avoid it. And the minute we start saying open and clear communication, there's nothing to avoid. And if you avoid open and clear communication, you are guaranteed conflict. Guaranteed.
Yes.
So we've got to reframe it. We need to make it accessible. Okay, so now your points are all very valid and totally spot on. There are many reasons why there are, on the one side, fixers, hero children, depending on um, where you were born in your family, depending on what you were praised for. You're going to take on the persona which is going to make you feel the most validated during grown up. So if it is to be a fixer or a rescuer of others, or to be the spokesperson, or to be the hero of a family, you're going to jump in, you're going to do it for the rest of your life until you go like, what am I even doing? Because I'm getting nothing. On the other hand, if you were used to being in trouble, um, or were harshly criticized or were demeaned for having an opinion, then you are not going to be as outspoken quite easily. So it's going to start from that, and then we're going to have various life experiences that's going to change us a little bit and affirm certain beliefs and strengthen certain outlooks. But now, like you say, this is usually who ends up together. Two fixers together will irritate each other so much that they will probably not carry on with the relationship. Two non-fixers will probably not go anywhere because nobody's driving the boat. We'll just stay there in the harbor and not go anywhere. But the possibility of a relationship. So, most of the time you're going to end up with a fixer communicator with a conflict avoidant. And the problem is what we don't know, first of all, is that the conflict avoidant is the one controlling the relationship, not the one who talks a lot. Because the one who talks a lot will talk to get the connection back, and the conflict avoidant, the avoidant of intimacy, which is another branch of this, the fear of intimacy, the fear of commitment, is not the same as conflict avoidant, but that's another reason why people don't interact. That person will keep on pulling back, which whatever the reason is, and the other side will want to more desperation, more effort, more belief that you have to fix it. So it's a struggle from beginning to end. But the conflict avoidant always, the one who pulls back, the one that withdraws the most, is the one that will always control the reaction, because the other one is the one more likely to fix it. And so when we fix something, we usually give up something, but then we get a little bit healthier, and then we need to get different ways, which I think is where we are.
Yeah, I don't think I necessarily wanted to fix anything, but I wanted to be heard and communicated with. And you pointed out to me, I didn't go about it in the right way from the beginning, and yeah, I didn't draw firm
Antoinette,
boundaries.
just stop there for a minute. Tell me, who's the one who had the conversations about there's something wrong in our relationship, we need to fix it?
Well, I didn't use the word fixing. I said
Who was the one who initiated, like, there's something that needs to be
me.
talked about? Hello, who's the
Me.
fixer? Okay, who's the fixer then?
Okay.
Okay, right. Well, let's just, because maybe somebody else is having that same misunderstanding about what it means to be fixing. It's the one who's scratching there looking for the solution.
Okay, yeah, then I was definitely, yes.
Okay, so I interrupted you, so carry on.
I can't remember what I was saying now, but I think that maybe some people can't communicate. Actually, maybe. So
Everybody can
what happens?
communicate. Everybody can
So,
communicate.
well, I mean, our relationship actually ended because of this incompatibility, because there just was not any communication, and so I got more and more. I felt so uncomfortable with myself in the end, actually, and I think I was playing up quite a lot, because I think you pointed out, because I wasn't being heard, actually. Because I
Okay,
can
let's
be
break it
difficult when
down.
I'm honest, hey?
Let's break it down for everyone and step right back and go like, okay, fine. Here I am. So we're going to go from two scenarios, if you're happy with that. One is I'm going into this relationship and this is what's happening. And the other one is I am knee deep in this relationship. It's like, okay, I'm committed. I'm here. What do I do now? So I want to, before we talk about anything else, I want us to look at ourselves, first of all. If we are talking to somebody else, if we are the skilled communicator, the one with the belief that we are supposed to work hard for things and fix things and jump in and be proactive and the plan maker and the organized one, it all goes together. It's all more or less the same thing. Then we have to make a slight adjustment. This is so important for absolutely everybody. So there are two adjustments that we need to make. Number one is huge. You are not supposed to take responsibility for another person in any ways and means possible. And we do. Magic happens when you stop doing it. We are just not supposed to do it. We are not supposed to think I'm the better communicator. We're not supposed to think you can't communicate as well. And you're not supposed to, I have to help you to do this or I have to fix you to do this. We have to let people be where they are and have a consequences if they choose not to communicate with somebody in a relationship. So, I mean, that is breaking it down to the absolute barest, simplest bones. And then we can go back And we can go and say, what are these consequences if somebody chooses not to communicate? Because those ones are huge. And let's go back to them at the end. Okay. So the second one is this. You have to check how you are communicating, because a lot of us are very proud of ourselves. We have we we've got I used to say limits. So we have a no. We are confident that we can get what we want. Achievers, and we will. We believe that we have a right to do things and how it should do, and we believe in our way. Very perfectionistic often, and we don't like being wrong, so we research things so that we are not wrong. And we communicate well because we believe in what we are saying, because we researched it. So let me say it. Our problem is the place from which we come, how we deliver it, and the actual words we are using. So if it's coming from any place of I'm superior to you, bye-bye, you've lost the other person. If you're coming from a place where you think you are more than another person, you're going to demean that person in some sort of way. Bye-bye, you've lost that person. If you are judging the person in every way, and like even you can't communicate as a judgment. Even like you cannot communicate as well as I can, that's a judgment. You cannot do this, that's a judgment. And there we go down the slippery slope of judgment. And then the very next thing, once we start sliding like down there, is now we're going to start judging and diagnosing people, putting them in boxes. This is how it is. I've diagnosed you, and I put the stamp on the sticker and done. And then we leave no space for something else. This is our judgment, this is our opinion, and that is how it is. And then part of that slippery slope is that we are going to say, we're going to start using demeaning language, especially the more and more triggered we become, because we're not effective. The more we don't feel hurt, because people are going to stop listening to us when we have that load of judgment. Then the next thing is we're going to blame people. It's so easy, doing your side. That's why we're in this trouble. Or if only you would listen. I've said this so many times. Why can't you listen? The frustration builds, the blaming builds, and then the one which so many of us are good with, which is guilty. We don't even know we do it. We sort of feel entitled to do it. And it's a lot of that entitlement that makes us guilt people. And the entitlement is a child attitude. It's not an adult attitude. It's a definite child attitude, and it's the one that puts us into victim mode. So we have to be so careful of these. If we deliver whatever we're saying in any of these ways, if there's criticism coming in out with that, and judgment, blaming, guilting, shaming, any of those things coming out of our mouth, unintentional even, in our attitude, in our tone, in the tone of our voice, we have lost the other person, and that person has zero reason to want to communicate with us. And we have to start there.
Yeah, I didn't communicate well.
Yeah, we can't start with a guy with a woman who doesn't communicate. We have to start asking ourselves, how am I not an efficient communicator? Because
you had someone on one of your summits. She what was that model? Who's that psychologist? She talked about that communication model. It was astounding. It's a well-known one.
Karen Pratt. Transactional analysis. That's what she does. And this is that thing that I use. I don't know if I can get hold of it now. Let me see. Where's my book? This is the thing that I use absolutely all. I mean, I use transactional analysis all the time. I use it. It's the games we play. It's the drama triangle. Every single communication thing that I do, there is transactional analysis involved in it. And so I'm going to see if I can show this, because this is so important, because if we do this, okay, so the top one is I wonder if there's enough light on it. I'll try and change the light around a bit. Okay. I think I made it worse. Because the top one is parent, and then the middle one is adult, and the bottom one is child. And if you have strong parent in you, you're going to evoke the child in the other person. If you have strong child in you, you're going to wake up the parent in the other one. And what you have to learn is you've got to go to the middle line. So you have to go into adult. And when you go into adult, the other person has a chance to respond as an adult. As long as you're parenting someone, they're going to come back most of the time out of child. And if you are coming from child helpless, blaming place, then you are actually in childhood, and then you're going to get somebody else wagging their finger at you. There's going to be a lot of you should and you shouldn't. And if you are not talking at all, you're going to have somebody coming to you from parent. And if both people go into overreactive mode, you're going to be two toddlers screaming your legs in the air, which is both in child, which is the moment when everything becomes so horrible that you need to go and take a shower after the conversation. The conversation won't be a conversation, it will be an argument. So, yeah, so, and like, I mean, it's in my book, it's a chapter about communication. It's a very short, condensed way to learn how to communicate better by using that model. Everything, and we can even use the right words. We can learn to use the right words and cut out the words which are judgmental and blaming and shaming and guilting. But if we come with the intent that I have to be right, if we come with the intent that I can't be wrong, if we come with the intent that we are superior to the other one, it's going to show in our tone. We have to learn to respect the other person. But this is now where we are in the middle. But what I say is like, let's go, you getting into a relationship, which all of us have started a relationship with by going into it. And all of us have known this. I'm getting, this, it's not even like it's a quiet person. Like, my husband's not a quiet person. He's an extrovert. He's all over the place. He's got ADD. He talks nonstop. He talks to anybody. He's everybody's friend. But communication about deep stuff, it took years and years before, and years of me changing before he could talk to me, because I was all of those things. Every single one of those things, it was me. And I didn't know I was right or wrong. I would completely believe this is how it should be. What do we see in our houses? What do we see how people communicate? What do we see in movies, how people communicate? We don't have healthy examples of how to speak to people. So if we go into a relationship and somebody is not interested enough to ask you who you are, to shut up and listen, get scared, get very scared, because they're not going to be doing that ever. If you go into a relationship and you ask people who they are inside and they can't tell you, then you have to know they've done zero self-investigation. Maybe they're open for it. Maybe they are willing to go there. Maybe they're not. That one is your choice to go into willingly or not. But it is a very big sign. And if you at any time feel, I'm not invited into this person's inner world, you have to ask yourself, am I happy with the rest? Is that enough for me? Because if you go in knowing that, who the heck doesn't know that? We all know that. If we all go in and the other things that attracted us to each other is enough, you have to know, nowhere down the line did you get a right to judge this person, because you go in willingly. So right in the beginning, you've got to ask the right questions of yourself.
I think the complex thing is, and I'm not 20 anymore, but you can do a lot. I did a lot of work on myself, as you know, for many years, but I was not in a relationship. And then I stepped into a relationship, And in hindsight, I mean, everything's clear. And after some coaching with you, but you go into a relationship and it's another whole layer of unlayering and adulting, actually. And the thing is, when you cannot communicate openly and honestly up front in the beginning, this was just my experience, it's very difficult to unravel and solve and work with what's going on because I knew I was being reactive. I knew I was withdrawing sexually, for example. I mean, I'm very, very self aware and I've done lots of work with you. And I tried to speak about it without judgment or demands, but the other person couldn't. And that's also okay. And at that point, I guess I could have done something different, but I didn't. I carried on carrying on. And that's when I was not judgmental in the beginning. I can honestly, but in the end, I was communicating very badly and I
It
was
will
very
go there.
judgmental.
We're human. It will go there. But it's that beginning thing. And Antoinette, you've recently done this, so you can probably help people to just remember a little bit why we do that. What is it that that point where we still have this belief, no, this will get better. I think for myself, I've carried a very strong belief that I'm quite good with this stuff. So if I carry on long enough and I'm patient enough, the other person will catch up. And so it's like a big burden that I put on myself to believe that I can wait for it to happen, which in retrospect, I can tell you is utter bullshit. It's not something we
I
should be
think
doing.
also, Louise, no, I agree with you, but from my point of view, I think for me, the issue was more after, even after all the transformative work I'd done, I kept on thinking I was out of line and there was something wrong with me and I had to show up better. And that is a pattern now when I look back at every single relationship I've had, is when things are not going well, I tend to say, but Antoinette, what are you doing wrong? Why aren't you showing up properly here? And actually, it all just went very pear shaped, and I was very, very not okay, actually. But it's so interesting how, in hindsight, it's obvious what happened. But actually, you go into intimate relationship and you can't see the wood for the trees, actually. And some of it I couldn't even see until I had a session with you, actually, which was right near the end. I could not see the whole picture, as self aware as I am and as much work as I've done. There are still deep wounds, Louise, I think, and suppressions or whatever, that until you get into intimate relationship, they will not arise. It doesn't matter how much work you do on your own. That's my feeling.
Look,
And
I
now in
think it's important.
hindsight, I can see what happened in hindsight, and hopefully I won't do it again. But at the time, it was just, it wasn't like I thought it would get better. I wasn't, maybe I did think it would get better. I think I just kept on thinking, I don't know what I thought actually. Yeah, it's interesting. It's
You
3
thought that
years.
the harder you try, Antoinette, you thought that the harder you try and the more you fix yourself, it should come right.
Yeah, but the irony is in trying to make myself better to make it work, I became worse and worse in the relationship actually, to the
And that
point
is
that I couldn't stand myself actually.
But this is exactly what we are wanting to tell people. Exactly, because there are so many of us who do that. I mean, you've just heard me say seconds ago, I was like, okay, I can be the one who's patient. I can work on myself and be patient, and he will pitch up. And I don't have. I can wait for connection. I can wait for nice communication. I can wait for him to start wanting to know who I am inside by himself, like some miracle happens. So there's this willingness on my side to be patient, to to grow myself, and the long suffering wait for somebody else to catch up in their own time, which has got nothing to do what we are supposed to do. If we know our wants and needs, we we have to have a discussion about our expectancies fairly early on. And look, it's a different thing if you're already inside it. There's a very, very different thing when you're inside it. And I'm happy to talk about that. But if you're now single and you have to start dating again, then I give you homework. I say, go out and start dating. You are not supposed to get single to start get serious. You are supposed to just go out and kiss as many frogs, because you are not going to get the prince with the first frog. You've got to get that in your head. Before you get to the prince, you have to kiss many frogs. Before you get the princess, you have to kiss many frogs. And let's think about all the relationships that we've had, how discerning we were, or how many times we just went like, okay, kissed, stars have been shining, let me go with you. This is just, how often do we do that? How often are we actually discerning, and how often are we actually coming from a place of self-respect and doing it differently? I am not getting involved because I am being self-respecting and discerning, and there's a few things which I have to check out for myself before I decide if I'm committing or not. Now,
Actually, I think it comes very much down to the fact that I did not know what my very core need was, or my uncompromisable value need. Can you believe it? After all that work I'd done, it took me a long time to figure out where it was all actually going wrong. And a lot of it was my stuff. I have a fear of intimacy, as you know, and there was a whole lot of my shit in this. I mean, I wasn't by any means innocent. I was awful, actually. But I think in hindsight, I went in with a very different person to what I've had a lot of relationships, as you know, and I'm 60, I'm not 30, it's not like I can keep on kissing frogs. And I thought that I think we both thought it was a really good match, actually, because we were very different. Because I thought maybe you see, I didn't even know myself very well. It takes relationship to really know yourself. I thought it was good for me to be with someone who didn't want to talk a lot about this stuff and have open, honest conversations about inner stuff. And I thought, oh, that is so cool, because I overanalyze, I'm too into that, I philosophize too much. But in the end, it is a very, very core need of mine. I know that now. I didn't know when I went into this relationship that my most fundamental core need is I need to have these open, honest conversations on a very deep level. I'm a deep person and I go deep. And if that can't happen, I don't think I can be in any relationship, actually. And because I didn't know what my core need was, it's funny how we don't know that. We can be 60 and still not know what our absolute fundamental bottom line need is.
Yeah, I think we all as human beings must remember one thing, and that is that for every human being, connection is paramount. It's built into us. It's wired into us. It's in Maslow's pyramid. It's non-negotiable. We need connection, and we're going to need first that connection, and the bigger connection of a family, and the bigger connection of the community, and the bigger connection of a town, and the bigger connection of a country. So we are community people. We are connection people, and how we connect with somebody, that is the thing that we need to figure out. We have to find enough points along the line through which we can connect. So I can tell you, I've got the same sense of humor as my husband, so we can watch the same things and laugh about the same things. We go on long bike trips and we both love it. And we don't have to know where we're going. We can just go, and it's fine, and we love it. So we can connect about that. And so we have, except for the communication, we have those points that we both like restoring things and tackling projects. We are both in the studio and making things, and we love it when it's done and people love it. So we've got a lot of points of connection, of mutual interest to talk about, so that we don't have to have those deep conversations between us. I still have a need for deep conversations, but you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to phone you, or I'm going to phone another friend if you're not available, or I'm going to phone somebody else when you're not available. to have those deep communication with. So that's fine with me, because in our relationship, I have enough other points that are really good connection. And then if your sex life is good, it will also help you forge the bond of a connection. So you must never take that one into equation. So there are a lot of healing things that we can do that are different from opening our mouths and talking. So it's not that we have to be with somebody who talks to us about deep stuff. But for me, we have to be with somebody who know who I am as a person and who is at least interested in me. Otherwise, it's just not a relationship that's for me worth it. And that's my standard. Somebody else's standards can be completely different from mine. But as human beings, we have to make sure that in a relationship, we've got enough points of connection that can keep us connected.
That's very beautiful and very valid. Yeah. So you are going to coach me or whoever else is willing to show up for it before they go into another relationship on what questions to ask to see if there are common needs or what.
Okay, but yeah, you know what? I think it is time for me to set up that relationship readiness short course, so that people who are going into it can actually start from a more level playing ground to understand what it is that makes a really great relationship, so we can finally leave all this old bullshit behind and just come in. I very, very often talk to frustrated women, because I do a lot of couples counseling. So I talk to frustrated women who say to me, their husbands can't communicate, but they can communicate with me. Why? I'm neutral. I ask a question, I shut up. I don't answer for them. I don't decide for them. And if they tell me something, I don't change it. I don't tell them what they should be thinking. I am interested. I'm saying, tell me more. It's not that people can't communicate. It's more often that they don't feel safe because of where they're coming from. And if we don't create that safe space, how do they communicate? We've got to start with that before we go anywhere else. And we've got to drop our old stuff, and we've got to increase our own communication style before people can hear us and be willing to trust us. That's where we've got to
And
start.
I'm afraid I didn't do that well at all.
Yeah.
I didn't do that well at all.
Yeah, but you know what? Now let's go back to the frogs. Now, why do we say you single go and kiss some frogs? Because we want you to become discerning. We want you to start seeing the red flags. We want you to remind yourself, I'm not in this to get a relationship. I'm in this to enjoy my beer or my glass of wine. I'm here to enjoy meeting a new person and seeing if we are going to get along or not. It's not doesn't have to be the one, in heaven's name, please. And then to start watching the red flags. And the red flags are, they want to change you. They only talk about themselves. They're not interested in you. They are incessantly talking about a previous relationship, which means they're not over it. They are very much about their positions, who they can impress. They're not nice to the waiter. They are too nice to the waiter. And I can waitress. I carry on. We are many red flags. Many red flags. And we always know in retrospect, when we first started dating with so and so, there was a lot of red flags. And then whatever my motivation was, I let it slide. So if you're single and you are with a non-communicator, it's fine, it's possible. I'm still with somebody who really has to be pushed to go to the deep stuff. That's just how it is. I'm not trying to fix it. It's fine with me. I have learned that one person doesn't have to be all things for me. That's fine. But there has to be enough other things. And for that, everybody has to work 100% on themselves, 100% on themselves, and everyone has to do their 50% for the relationship. And that 50% is not up to me. That's up to the two people who are in that relationship. Because if you work on you and you work on you, part of that is to learn how to be the 50% in your relationship. And underneath, here's the thing. Notice this one. If any of us are willing to be the 100% in the relationship, we're not leaving space for the 50%. If we have the 100%, we're not leaving space for the other person's 100%. If we do the 50%, we are leaving space for the other person's 50%. That's important. It's one of those things. Yeah. Let's see. Peter.
Hello, Peter. Yes, I have to kiss old frog.
It's so funny. You're always on about my frogs. Hi, Midge. Okay, yeah, please do come back and listen when you can. Yeah. Hi, Linda.
Thank you, Linda.
Nice to see you, Linda. Hi, Timra. Thank you. Nice of you to be here. Old frogs. that's the best.
Oh, Peter, that's hilarious. And I want to thank this man that I had a 3-year relationship with. I don't know if he's listening or not, but we are still very good friends. So we parted very consciously. We had a conscious uncoupling, and Louise, that is a first for me and for him. And that is an extremely exquisitely beautiful experience, actually, is when two people decide to not be together, but they're still friends and support each other and thank each other. Without him, I would never have had this opportunity to see myself and to grow exponentially. And it wasn't all shit by any means. We had a lot of good times and fun, and who knows what the future holds. So it is the first for me, and I am so happy and so thankful to him. Thank you, Jeff, that we were able to part in the way we did and still be really good friends.
That's beautiful. I'm happy for both of you. And again, Robert J. Ackerman and Perfect Daughter says that we can only heal completely and utterly inside relationships. Relationships is the thing that helps us to have boundaries in spite of our abandonment fears, of showing up and committing in spite of our abandonment fears, of seeing ourselves how we really are.
Louise, for me, it started going really pear-shaped, as you know, when I withdrew physically because you showed me I was terrified of trusting that intimacy. And so until you're in a close relationship like this, you will never be able to see those parts of yourselves that still need looking at or healing. So I'm incredibly grateful that they were revealed, and they were quite shocking, because I had done so much transformational work. I had no idea how fearful I was actually of intimacy. And
for that, obviously, you need somebody who will communicate with you through that. So for all of us, it's different. In that instance, you need deep understanding, support, and good communication. So for all of us, it's going to be different. In this case, I completely agree with you. Let's see. Okay, so listen, if there any more questions, let's check. I want to know who missed us. We haven't talked for nearly 3 months, Antoinette, I think. So I want to know who missed us. Hello, we are here. I miss talking to you, so I'm happy to see you. I want to say to Peter, yes, Peter, have you ever heard about toy boys? And Peter, if I kiss an old frog, he better have a nice, big motorbike.
I thought you were going to say nice, big back balance.
No.
A nice big motorbike, yo.
No, then I can handle a lot of things. Okay. All right, let's see if there's any more questions. Anything else from you, Antoinette?
No, I would encourage anybody who listens to this who's or any age, but especially if they're young, to get Louise's book and to work with someone like Louise, because honestly, it could have saved me a lifetime of had multiple relationships starting and ending. And now at 60, as Louise said, I live in a tiny little village full of women mostly. I mean, I have to go on a lot of holidays if I want to find another man. But that's sort of a joke. But yeah, so
Well,
rather get it right when you're young. Eh?
yeah, because you know what, we are messing up things that can work, and I still believe that most relationships can work. But two people have to be willing to work on it. Two people have to be willing to work on it equally. Then most relationships can work and most relationships are going to be saved. And I see that. I'm so blessed to do what I do. I'm so, so, so blessed to do what I do because I mean, just when that relationship just suddenly people get it. It is just the most amazing, beautiful thing. And everybody has to be coached through this. Nobody gets this. But when you get it, it's amazing and beautiful. I think I'm going to rebrand my book. I'm going to do a new cover that says, learn how to not fall into a hamster wheel trap. You know, before you go anywhere. But I don't think anybody will listen because we're all made up of all these hormones and pheromones and deep desires that somebody else must fix us. So we usually only start doing this work when we're in trouble and we get scared because we can see we're going to lose this. And then we start being willing to do the work, which is fine. I'm there. I'm happy to help. Yeah. But underneath, you are right. We can change a lot about how we see ourselves by doing the work and by reading the right things and getting the right support and putting our attention where we want to go. It's really important. Okay, there's no more questions here. Go and look on
And
the
Louise,
chat.
just to end off, I think if two people, that's what you see in your therapy, I'm sure if two people are willing to do this work together, it must end up in a really extraordinarily good relationship, actually, because we're all human beings are actually damaged on some level and have baggage.
Yeah.
But if you're going to journey on that together and heal it together, it must work for a really good relationship.
Yeah, I want to see if I've got any couples here watching. No. I can ask them to comment, but sometimes people are shy. So, yes, it is. It is really extraordinary when people wake up from this. And we're coming back to transactional analysis again, because it is about the games that we play without knowing we are playing. We are never playing them on purpose, never ever. We are in those games because we see it as the only way. And we see it as the only way because who the heck have ever taught us a different way? People often say to me, like, how do you even talk like that? And it comes natural and automatic. I don't have to think about it long. It's because I've really had to practice and I had to be very on point and very present and very aware of my own communicating styles in order to start getting different results. Because my relationship was terrible. It was at the point of this is the end. And I've worked on it really hard. I've worked on it for a long time before the old neural pathways have changed. And I am not inside those drama patterns anymore. I can like, okay, here's a drama pattern. Am I willing to step in it? Hell no. Why would I want to when I can actually just calmly communicate? And once you get there, you don't want to go back to the drama anymore. You don't want the mess anymore. And when you've got two people who are unwilling to go back to the drama and two people who are willing to communicate differently, you get the magic. That's when you get the magic. And it starts with being tired of the drama. So if anybody's in deep drama, get tired of it. That's where we start. Don't be willing to be part of it anymore. That's where we start. Okay. No more questions, right? Okay, we're going to ask everybody, thank you for all the hearts that I'm seeing there. That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for everyone who's commenting and who's watching and everybody who's coming in afterwards. we love you and we appreciate you, and please share this. We do know other people who are desperate for communication. We also know people who want to crawl under a rock when anybody looks in their direction and expect an answer from them. So all of you can help us spread the word, please. And remember, give us a heart there. Tick on that little heart for us. And next week, show up again. We're looking forward to that. Thank you all for being here. Antoinette, are you?
I just said thank you for the chat and for everybody who was there to witness this. Yeah.
Thank you for
Nice
being brave.
to talk. Okay.
Yeah, I've missed our talks in the last 3 months. Had some exquisite guests, but I missed our talks.
Yay, but now just not going to be all grown up.
Lots of love to you, lots of love to everyone else, and see
Valerie.
you Sunday Seeds.